Sitting in a comfortable place, we'll close our eyes, start to breathe in through the nose slowly, and out through the nose even slower. Let that breath be longer than a normal breath. Breathing in and out through the nose calms down the mind, the nervous system. On the next deep breath, tell yourself thank you for your practice today. Breathing that slow, steady nasal breath, yoga style breath. We give thanks for each person that's here. And that long, deep, steady breath. We give gratitude for the space that we're in, the safe place, and every person that made it possible for us to be here together. From here, we'll inhale, reach the arms up overhead, looking up through the hands. Give yourself a little back bend. And if you're able to sit cross-legged, as you exhale, place your hands on your knees and let your back round, looking down, tucking the tailbone as in cat pose. You can do this with your legs straight if you need to. Just reach under the legs and hold on to the back of the legs. Then we'll inhale, reach up, look up, find that arch in your back. Exhale, lean back and round your back. One more of those on your own, just feeling your spine move. And then coming into a neutral spine. We're focusing on the hips, so this is a hip practice. We'll bring the bottoms of the feet together now in a cobbler's pose. Letting your feet press against each other. Inhale, raise the knees. Exhale, slowly push the knees down, sitting up straight, pulling lightly on the shins. Inhale, knees come up. Exhale, knees press down. Do that 2 more times. And if you would like, if you have tension in your neck like I always do, you might want to add in a shoulder shrug. Now stay there with the knees pressing down, pulling on the shins to lift up through the sternum and the crown of the head. Keeping your back straight. Close the eyes. There's a breath technique related to the hips. Imagine 2 small holes opening up, one in each hip. As you breathe in, imagine breathing in through the right hip into the right lung. And as you breathe out, imagine the air leaving the left lung and traveling down and out through the left hip. Feel the air circling around your body, in right, out and down left. Let go of any tension still holding in the hips on your next exhale. And we'll release the legs to do the opposite of that, bringing the legs far apart from each other in a big wide-legged split. With your feet as far apart from each other as they'll go, Allow your feet to come in and out a few times. And rotate all the way up to the hip. So the whole leg turns in and the whole leg turns out. Feel that radiating up into the hips, back of the pelvis. And then with your legs as far apart as they'll go, grip your mat lightly in front of you. We'll inhale to sit up tall. Exhale, begin to travel forward and down. Inhale, sit up tall. Exhale, travel forward. And when you can't keep your back straight any longer, then allow your back to round. Tucking the chin in. Let your back soften. And then allow the feet to go where they want. Maybe they want to point, flex for a more intense experience, or just flop to the side. As you come up, walk over to the right leg and travel down your right leg as far as it feels safe. You may wish to raise your right arm up in the sky, looking up past your right underarm. Finding a little twist in the back. Now, stay there and push your right foot away from you. Then pull your right foot towards you using your hip, almost like we're walking in place. So the right hip goes forward. It's just a micro amount of space, and the right hip comes back. Just shifting forward and back in that right hip. Working deep into the hips to get rid of any emotional tension and stress that might be hanging out in there. Then as you come out, stop in the middle, do a little reset on the splits. And we'll walk over to the left side, grabbing the left leg or shin with your right hand. If you're bendy flexy, you might be able to get your left little toe side of your foot, not a competition. And then raise the left arm, looking up underneath the left underarm. Relax forward here. And then same thing, just gently pushing the hip away from you on the left and pulling the left hip back. Feel how that affects the legs and the back of the pelvis SI joint area. Then as you come out, come back through the middle. Inhale, reach up tall. Exhale, come forward and round down. Starting to come up, we'll bend the right leg, bringing the right foot inside of the left leg, sort of like tree posture. All right, so we have our right foot inside the left leg. We'll travel down the left leg and work on the left hamstrings, back of the left leg. Now, as you probably know, it's common sense that the foot, ankle, knee is all going to affect the hip. So look at your foot and it'll give you some information. If it's pulling in, if the big toe's pulling in towards you, the inner thigh is really tight. If the big foot's falling away from you, if the big toe's falling away from you, the outer leg is really tight. So we want to try to keep big toe, little toe equal distance away. To get the most out of this stretch, let's push through the heel and pull the toes a little closer towards us, whether you have the foot or not. Feel the back of the knee, the calf. Start to slowly come up. The only problem with any forward folding poses is it makes the front of the hip flexor tighter. But we can counter that just by sitting back, leaning back and looking up. Let the front of that hip we just worked on relax. Coming into mermaid pose, we're going to bend the left knee now, so both knees are bent. The right foot is just in front of the left thigh. Right foot just in front of the left thigh. Your left arm can be bent and on the floor, or you can stay up high if you need to. But the most important thing is what is happening in that left hip. So place your hand here at first and roll the hip in and roll the hip out. Once you feel the head of that leg bone, the femur, moving in and out, internal, external rotation, and technically isn't coming out, I hope, then add in the arm. And the hip moving affects everything up through the upper body. Very important to have that good, healthy hip. It affects everything south of the hip and north of the hip. And slowly coming up, we'll swap out sides. So now we will straighten right leg, bend left knee, left foot inside right thigh. Inhale, sit tall. Exhale, travel down your leg. As you come down your leg, check in with your foot. Make sure it's equal distance from your upper body. If this knee on your left leg is up high, being careful, watching out for the knee, you can press right on the inner thigh to get it a little closer to the earth, but also to stretch that inner thigh a little more. Then easing out of that, we'll bend the knee so we have our left foot in front of our right thigh now. Focus on the hip moving in and out. You can come on to forearm if you would like. Add in the arm. Then as you're ready, we'll come up and around and come into child's pose. Bring both of those knees as far apart as they'll go. They might even go wider than your mat. The big toes behind you are touching. Sit back and walk your arms forward. Go slow to get into this pose. As you sit back towards your heels, stretch your arms out more. You can push a little with your palms. Tuck the chin in, the forehead touches the mat. Now staying there, stay in child's pose. We'll do another stress relieving breath technique. So imagine as you breathe in through the nose, the air travels along your back all the way down to the tailbone. And as you exhale, imagine the air wrapping around your tailbone, traveling up the front of your body and out through the nose. So breathing in through the third eye, down your spine. Keep breathing in until you get to the tailbone. And then breathe out along the front of your body and out through the nose. Just imagine that circular breath cleaning out as it goes down the spine and back up and out, cleaning that center channel of energy. Before we come up, try tucking your tailbone a tiny bit more and see if you can get a bigger spread across the back of the hips here. And then we'll slowly pull ourselves up, walking the knees in out as wide as your mat. So not necessarily stacking the hips, but the knees are as wide as the mat. We often think of the hips as just the joint, or the front, but it also includes the side and the back. So let's get the whole hip area with some big circles here. Circle around to one side and back up through the center. Then back and around, other side and over. You might get some clicks or some pops. You might even get a nice release in your hips. Totally normal as long as you never feel any sharp shooting pain. And the next time you come into the middle, we'll walk our knees underneath our hips so we're stacked more in a table position. Wrist, elbow, shoulders, knees underneath our hips. Let's improve our balance. Reach the right arm forward, left leg back in a nice long extension, trying to find the same height between the arm and the leg. A lot of times we'll lift the leg higher, and that'll displace the back of our hips, the back of our pelvis. So try to keep the hips squared to the floor here and hold this for 3, 2, 1. Place both hands down, bend the back knee. Now, if this is bothering your wrist, you might come down to forearms for this next part. And we'll do donkey kicks. Kick up towards the ceiling and squeeze your buttocks. 5, left buttock, squeeze. 4, 3. You've heard me talk about how important it is. Now hold that last one to keep our buttocks strong. We don't have a lot of stairs in our lives, and the buttocks get weak, the hips get weak, everything starts collapsing. It's like losing our foundation. So keep those buttocks muscles strong. Circle to the side now, opening out that hip to the side in some nice fire hydrant circles. Reverse those circles. And now kick your leg over to the left. 1, 2, 3. Place the foot down and we'll come up to kneeling on our right knee with the left leg extended to the side. Push into the little toe side of your foot. Your big toe is coming a little towards you. Let's reach our right arm overhead for that left little toe. Feel the inner thigh stretch here and the opening along your ribs. Now, because the QL muscle right by the hip on the back and the side is involved in our twisting and our side bending, let's loosen up the right side QL by moving a little in and out here. You can move up and down or side to side. Get all those muscles around the right hip, low back area. Now we'll stay on that left leg. We'll bring the left leg forward into a lunge. Lunge the left leg as far forward as it will go. You might want to wiggle your left foot towards the front of your mat and try to get off that back kneecap. We want to roll over the kneecap and be on the flesh. Walk that left leg forward a little more, deep hip flexor stretch on that back leg. Reaching right arm overhead, you can rest your left forearm on your left thigh. Stretch over to the side. Huge opening on the whole right side of the body. Then easing out of it just a little bit, but trying to keep that same back hip opening. Square your hips and shoulders forward and reach up, look up. Coming out, find your way back to table. Bring the left leg back if you can, and we're back in all fours. Now we have left arm, right leg extension for balance, keeping those limbs at the same height, hips squared to the floor. Place the hand down. My wrists are not happy, so I'm going to do forearms for this second set. Bend your right knee and squeeze your right buttocks. 5, 4, kick the ceiling. Squeeze, tight, and hold it. Squeeze it tight for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Circle to the side. 1, 2, 3, and in reverse. 3, 2, 1. Then swing that leg over to the right. 1, 2, 3. Kick it all the way to the right and slowly come up to kneeling. Push towards that right little toe so that right ankle is expanded and open. Bring the big toe towards you a little. Left arm reaches overhead, sliding down your right leg. Here comes Arjuna the kitty, wants to see what's going on. And do some little movements, little side to side movements. All right, we'll swing that right foot forward, wiggle it forward, and we'll come into that right side deep lunge. So your left back leg, 45-degree angle to the floor, big stretch in that back left hip. Front of those hips get so tight from sitting a lot, which we all do. myself included. Resting your right forearm on your right thigh, reach the left arm overhead, big stretch down your whole left side. We'll go outside later. We'll go outside later, kitty. He loves going outside into my fenced-in yard. We'll go outside later. He knows lots of words. He knows that word. He's looking at me now like, when? Then as you come out, we'll lunge forward more, reach both arms up. And then slowly releasing. We're going to step up to the front of our mat. So you can tuck your back toes if that helps you, or however it works for you to step up to the front of the mat. Coming up into a halfway lift. Oh, now I've got Haley Kitty in here. Stretch your spine long. Exhale, round your back. And on the inhale, slowly come up to standing, reaching both arms up for a big stretch. Look up through your hands for a back bend. Exhale, swan dive. Let your arms scoop around as you slowly come down. Forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, stretching that spine long. Exhale, rounded back. Look back through the legs. Inhale, come all the way up. And we don't have to match, but do one more on your own. Doesn't matter if you get it out of order or not. I don't get the yoga mat anymore. The cats have taken it over.
Take it away from.
And then we've been working on that standing and awareness exercise for a couple of months, which really helps us get grounded and centered. We're using it this month, the month of January, the best month, to really connect to all the elements of the planet and get us firmly grounded for the year ahead. So if you'd like to, we'll stand with our feet 1 foot's distance apart, hands at the side, close the eyes. With the eyes closed, we can feel more. So rock forward, safety first, toes, heels, toes, heels. Toes, heels, toes, heels. Then side to side. Feel the inside of your foot and the outside edge of your foot, the razor's edge, the arch side. Feel the inside of your heel and the outside of your heel. Then stopping in the middle, try to sit in the middle of your ankles as if you were a ballerina standing on point. Lift up from the middle of the ankles, lift up from the middle of the knees without locking out your knees. Lift up through the middle of your hips. Lift up behind your belly button, behind the lungs, from the pit of your throat and the crown of your head. Press down and through the feet and extend up and out through the crown of the head. Palms face forward, standing in the center of your body. Now focus on the soles of your feet. Imagine tree roots growing down through the floor under you into the sandy soil, past rock and sediment and earth into water. Feel the water, feel the earth, feel the skin, the air on your skin. Feel the exchange of gases in your lungs with each breath. The heat your heartbeat is creating and the warmth of your body. Feel firmly grounded and centered in your being, in your body, connected to all the elements of nature, connected to something bigger than yourself. Tell yourself thank you for the time you're taking today. As we blink the eyes to open, let's get back into those hips. We'll turn the feet out at 45 degrees, bringing them a little wider than your hips. For some frog salutations, we'll start with hands at the heart. Inhale, circle your arms up and around, bending the knees in the direction of the toes. Sit down slowly, elbows to thighs, hands to heart. Most of us are going to sit with our hips back, but if your knees say it's okay, bring your tailbone closer to the floor as if you're going to sit on a footstool. Inhale to rise. Exhale, circle the arms, sit down, knees in the direction of the toes, hands to the heart. Inhale up and around. Exhale, sitting down. And one more. Now from where you're at, we'll come into lizard. So we'll leave the right foot turned out, hands inside your feet, and step your left foot back to a lunge. Your right foot still turned out. The right knee's pointing towards the right toes. You can put the left knee down on the ground if you'd like to make life a little easier. To make it more intense, you can try coming to forearms and lifting your back knee, pushing through the back heel. You can also peel off your big toe, increasing the intensity of the hip opener, the inner thigh stretch. You are a lizard though, so you want to be able, wherever you wound up, whichever option you took, to move a little bit without the knees going past the toes too far, and up and down a little bit. Then easing out of lizard, let's walk that foot back in between the hands. Leave the left hand down, and let's reach the right arm up for an easy twist. You can intensify this by tucking your back toes and lifting your back knee, or keeping it down to make it easier. Hands frame the front foot as we come out of the twist. Tuck your back toes and push off your back foot to step up to the front. Halfway lift. Exhale, rounding back. Inhale, circle the arms to rise to standing. Turn the feet out wide as your mat. Sit down frog. Hands inside the feet. Left foot stays there. Right foot steps back to that lizard lunge. Left foot turned out. Options. Easier, back knee on the ground. More intense. Forearms down, back knee lifts. Dropping your left knee to the side. Gently coming out. Wiggle your foot in between your hands. Right hand stays down, left hand rises for an easy twist. Option, pick up your back knee. Coming out, tuck your back toes, slowly step up front of your mat, halfway lift. Exhale, rounded back fold. Inhale, circle sweep your arms. And exhale, swan dive, forward fold. And slowly come down to laying down on your mat. Take your time and lower yourself down into a Shavasana pose. Now slowly bending your knees, walk your feet as wide as the mat. And you can keep your eyes closed if you'd like. Let your knees gently drop from side to side as if we were in a big, beautiful hammock. Then we'll hug both knees in the next time you get to the middle. And with one hand on each knee, make some circles with your hips. Egg beater style, so different directions with each circle. We'll hold the back of the hamstrings and turn the feet out at 45 degrees for frog posture, like you're stepping on the ceiling. Pull the knees towards your shoulders, and then let's lay the tailbone down on the mat, which will give us a stretch across the back of the hips. And then do some exploring. We can do some things when we're not standing on our feet that we can't do standing on our feet, like bicycles. One thing I like doing laying down more than being upright is the splits. Both directions. Shake off. And then to wrap up, sometimes it's really nice to rest in cobbler's pose. So bringing the bottoms of the feet together, let the knees fall apart. You can rest one hand on your heart, one hand on your belly. And I'm going to leave you there, laying down, one hand in your heart, one hand in your belly, feeling your hips. Just keep your legs there until they need to go straight, and then lay with your legs straight for a few breaths. And focus on all the work you've done to release tension in the hips. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace. May we have peace in the world, starting in our neighborhoods and our own hearts. Namaste.